So every Wednesday, Chris calls us on the phone, knowing good and well that we're filming, because Chris wants to be on the YouTube. Chris! Hey, Chris! Say hey, you're on YouTube? Hey, YouTube! Tony.
What's going on?
So, you know my birthday was the other day, right?
I do.
And you know, I always say that the next tattoo I'm getting is going to be a octopus, right?
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Okay. So I went and got myself an octopus tattoo.
Oh.
What y'all think about that?
That is dope.
I mean, I love...
How did it heal so quick?
I love people with octopus tattoos and everything. So, hey, that's not mine. That's my buddy right there. This is Banks. If y'all don't know Banks, y'all better get your life right because he's cool. He's cooler than a polar bear's toenail. So, all right, Mr. Banks, I'm going to film today, and you are going to go right over here.
All right, so y'all seen the face before. Chris Bankus is his legal name, but we call him Banks because it's easier. Anyway, we're going to talk about the first clutch that has hatched and shed for 2023. It is already here. All right, so don't always show off the parents, but this is one of my favorite snakes. And this is mom to the clutch that we're about to show. So I figured I'd show her off to y'all because she is one of my favorites.
She's still thick too.
Yep, she went right back on food, and she's just a good quality, healthy, perfect ball python.
So I know what she is. Banks knows what she is, but the rest of YouTube doesn't know what she is. What is she?
So this is a Fire Mojave Hypo. And if y'all know Shane Kelly,
we all know Shane Kelly.
Shane and his wife, when they visited a couple years ago, they fell in love with this snake. So this was they constantly were talking about this snake. But anyway,
did we name her Kelly?
You know what? We'll name her Kelly. How about that?
Her name is Kelly.
So,
my snake I got from Shane's name's Kelly too.
So well, there are two Kellys, and now we have two Kellys.
There we go.
So his wife is Kelly.
Kelly, like the song. Yep.
But anyway, yeah, this is. I love what Fire does with Hypo and Desert Ghost, and other stuff too, but particularly in Hypo. And I mean, I just love this snake. It's just such a cool snake. So, in my eyes, I was trying to figure out how to improve this animal as far as overall looks as an adult. And in my opinion, Inchy is a great way to improve Hypo. So I wanted to add Inchy to this. And I also wanted to do something really, really unusual, and I'll get to that in just a second. And this girl fit the ticket for what I wanted to do. So I'm going to get her put up, and then we'll talk about the clutch and what I was trying to hit. And not only did it hit one, it hit two. Alright, so I've done a pairing with that female, and what I wanted to make was a Blue-Eyed Lucy. And you're going to look at me in this video and you're going to say, why does Tony want to make a Blue-Eyed Lucy?
Why does Tony want to make a Blue-Eyed Lucy?
So, let me talk about the Blue-Eyed Lucy for a second.
Please do.
I have a bunch of back history.
That was the first snake I ever purchased from you.
Well, we both have a lot of back history then. So, one of the first cool or rare genetic combos that I ever made with ball pythons was a Blue-Eyed Lucy, Super Mojave. So it's kind of been one of those things. It's just like, even though they're outdated, quote unquote, in the breeding realm these days, you don't see very many people trying to make a bunch of them. And I'll get to that in a second. But it's a kind of like a foundation. It's kind of like back home where I started from, or whatever you want to call it. Greg's first snake that he ever bought from me was a blue-eyed Lucy. I have many customers that bought snakes from me 5+ years ago that bought some of their first snakes as a blue-eyed Lucy, because it's just such a genetic freak of an animal that it's appealing. A solid white snake with blue eyes is just like, I mean, when you grow up somewhere and you see snakes your whole life, you don't see a white one with blue eyes. I mean, it's just something that just stands out, and it grabs people's attention.
Oh yeah.
Even to this day, matter of fact, not even a month ago, somebody came here buying their first snake, and they wanted to see one. They weren't necessarily interested in buying one, but they wanted to see, hey, you got a blue-eyed Lucy?
They just don't believe it until they see it and they touch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Months ago, when I started doing this pairing, I wanted to create a blue-eyed Lucy that was genetically strong enough for something that I would want to keep.
Right.
So, back up 6 months ago when I started doing this pairing, I bred my super inchy lesser hypo DG male to the Fire Mojave hypo that y'all just seen to create a blue-eyed Lucy, because lesser and Mojave make a blue-eyed Lucy. But think about that pairing for a second. Not only, if I hit a blue-eyed Lucy, not only will it be just a blue-eyed Lucy, but it will also be inchy. Because
that's right.
Dad's a super inchy. Then I'm breeding a visual hypo and a visual hypo, so everything in the clutch is visually hypo. And because Dad is het DG, because Dad is visual DG, everything in the clutch is also het DG. So if I make a bale from that pairing, the only thing that I'm not sure about is the fire.
So that's pretty stinking cool. So basically you made a blank slate snake that's packed full of genes.
Yep. That I know is packed full of genes because of the pairing that I used. So I used a super to make sure that the inchy's there. I used hypo to hypo to make sure the hypo's there. I used a visual DG to make sure the het DG's there. And then I hit the lesser and the Mojave to make the bale. And we know that's there because it's solid white snake. So the only gene that I'm not sure about in a bale is the fire.
That's interesting. I'm digging that.
So I use genetic math to create animals that are not only super unique, and I say that because the blue-eyed solid white snake is still a desirable animal that people still want. But the downside to having a blue-eyed Lucy, other than their solid white, and when they poop, they get it all over themselves. The downside is genetically, just being a Mojave lesser is not that great. Like, you know, from a breeding point of view, breeding a bale, male or female, these days for a breeder that's in my shoes isn't necessarily worth the effort in breeding her, because she can only give me lesser and Mojaves down to my babies, which means it's almost like a single gene in a form. The female or the male just isn't worth the effort for me to breed. So you're saying that nobody could use it. I just can't use it.
You basically went from us having our pet blue-eyed Lucies that we just love to look at and everything to now you've gene stacked them.
Gene stacked it so that not only is it a cool looking snake that people can see when they come here,
but you can use them too. Brilliant.
Nice. So, yeah.
See, and everybody thought he was just a pretty face.
Definitely not a pretty face. But I do know my genetics, and you know, if you know how to use those genetics, then you can do things like this. So that's why it's always important to know exactly what you're breeding and pretty much have an idea of what your results should be. And I got everything in this clutch is exactly pretty much what I was expecting. So, but anyway, without further ado, let's look at these blue-eyed Lucies. All right, so these are the blue-eyed Lucies that we made from that pairing. So again, they are 100% inchy, lesser, Mojave, hypo, het DGs, and possible fire. So Fire is the only one that you're not going to figure out until you breed them. So really cool. I think there was 7 in this clutch, and got two Lucy's, so that's about right on percentage wise.
Right.
And they're both girls.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
So
that's pretty stinking cool.
Are normal Lucy's heads normally like iridescent like this, like pinkish?
Yeah.
As they're like
their
babies,
hatchlings?
Yep.
and then once they start once they start getting older, they're going to turn like whiter.
Yep.
And then when they start shedding, you'll see they'll have like that pinkish look to them again.
Right
Everything.
So you get different types of Lucy's. A lot of people don't know it, but like your dark crystals, which is mystic and special, they have a pattern snake. It has a lot of pattern to it. It's not a solid white snake, but it does have blue eyes. So people call the blue eye leucistic, is where the bell comes from, and you can have a solid white snake with blue eyes, but you can also have other genes that don't always make them solid white. I prefer, if I'm going to try to make the bell, I prefer to use Mojave Lesser, because then you get a real pure white. Super Mojaves tend to have the purple heads. Your special Mojaves, which make the crystal, are a real yellow and white snake. The Mystic, what is it? Mystic, I can't remember what.
Potions?
Yeah, the Mystic Potions with Mystic and Mojave make the purple and white.
See,
All of those
I learn.
All of those are Blue Eye Lucy's.
Right.
They are all in the Bell complex, which Bell means Blue Eye Lucy. They're all in that Bell complex, and they all have blue eyes when you make the supers. But they don't always give you a pure white snake.
Yeah.
The pure white snake usually comes from the Mojave Lesser, and that's what people really want to see, is that pure white. So that's why I use the Mojave mom with the Lesser on the dad. So,
right.
Again,
Makes sense.
So anyway, really cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I plan to keep one of these, and one of them will be available
Unless Banks sticks
Banks
it.
takes
It goes
it.
Banks.
I do that a lot every time I come up here.
This hoodie is perfect, right? So we still have a few of those, because my favorite thing to do with snakes is I like to put them in my pocket. That's right, and that's a perfect pocket for your snake. So there you go. Check it out. So if anybody, I'm going to go ahead and say, Tony, so whoever buys the one that's for sale, go ahead and send them a hoodie on me.
Okay.
There you go. So
Nice.
make sure you let them know. No, not yours. You keep your hoodie. That's your hoodie.
No, he said he
No, I
gets
said
another
I guess
hoodie on the way out.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, that'll fit in your pocket.
So, if you do want a hoodie or t-shirts, go check out the website. By the way,
There's plenty of swag,
Opinions.
all kind of swag.
So, all right. So enough about the Blue Eye Lucy's.
What else we got?
There are several other babies in this clutch that are equally as cool, and these kind of what I needed to talk about. But honestly, I may be keeping another one. So let's check those out.
Okay.
So these are Inchy Lessers, hypos,
Inchy Lesser Hypo.
that are het DG as well.
Ooh.
So Inchy Lesser Hypo het DGs. These are a pair. There's a male and a female. They got it swapped up, so I don't remember which is which.
You can pair them out later.
So something that's going to be a little difficult to do is pick out which ones are Mojave and which one of them are Lesser. So
How so?
that can be a little difficult, because Mojave and Lesser are very similar, but they're also very different. And somebody might be looking for a Lesser, and you don't want to sell them on Mojave if it's a vice versa. Whatever.
Wait, now
So-
I thought Mojave's had that cool little bullet hole pattern, and Lesser's was just faded out color.
Lessers, the pattern on. I have seen a lot of Lessers, and I've seen a lot of Mojaves, and sometimes you can't tell the difference between them.
Interesting.
Be straight up honest. Sometimes it's
Interesting.
pretty easy to tell them apart.
Right.
Sometimes it's not. So from a previous clutch,
Always learning.
always learning. From a previous clutch, which this is actually the same dad. This is a Inchy Lesser DG het hypo.
Okay.
So just for comparison purposes, we're looking at the Inchy Lesser hypo versus the Inchy Lesser DG.
Inchy just does it, man. I mean,
Yeah, it gives it a nice purple.
But I brought this snake out also to show you how similar these are as far as the color and patterns go on them. Hypo and DG are both going to affect the color and pattern on the snakes, but you can see that these are pretty much just going to be inchy lessers. We know the inchy is there because Dad's super.
That's right.
So, which I didn't buy Dad as a super too, by the way.
You didn't? He just happened to prove out to be super?
He has proved out over several clutches.
Super Dad.
Alright, so this one is the only one I'm not 100% sure about. But I tend to believe that this one is going to be Fire Inchy Lesser.
Okay. No hypo?
Hypo. Yeah,
Okay,
everything's hypo.
Yeah.
And everything's head DG.
That's right.
But visually, you're looking at, I think this is Fire Inchy Lesser and not Mojave. The reason why I think he's lesser, I'll show you in a second. But
Okay.
I think this is the lesser version. So, not the lesser version, but the lesser version.
The lesser version of the lesser version.
That can get kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to put these up, and I'm going to get out what I think are the Mojave versions.
Okay.
So, I believe these to be the Fire Inchy Mojave Hypos.
Okay. Wiggly worms.
And the only thing that I can really say the difference is going to be the color. I believe these to be inchy, and I believe this one to be lesser. That's really the only thing that I can tell you is the color difference. You may not even be able to see it on camera,
Not really, no.
but the color difference
I can definitely see the difference.
You see it?
Yeah.
is slightly different. To me, the Fire Inchy Mojave just looks better overall than the lesser version. It may not age that well, or it may age differently, but I do like the Mojave version. I am 100% sure that this one, which is the male, is Fire Inchy Mojave. I'm 99% sure that this one's Mojave, and about 60% sure that this is lesser. But again, I could be wrong. These are almost impossible to ID. So, but I'm sure this one is Mojave. Pretty sure this one's lesser, and I'm leaning more towards Mojave.
Mojave in the middle.
Dude, yeah, those are all powerhouses.
And of course, they're all hypos and they're all head DGs.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I am debating on keeping this girl as well. Just don't know yet. We'll see. But this is a male here, and he's definitely, in my opinion, the best looking snake in the bunch. This thing is just going to be. I mean, y'all seen what Mom looked like, so when you add Inchy to that, it's just going to be incredible.
That's right.
So,
It's another pocket snake.
I know, right?
yeah. Genetically, it's just not a powerful enough male for me to replace some of the males that I already have. But really, this is really a nice snake.
Yeah, that's a
Good
gorgeous
to
snake.
get if you're trying to get into the project.
Oh,
Yeah, if you need
absolutely.
hypo, if you need hypo DG or even just regular DG stuff.
I mean, and who doesn't want like inchies and stuff like that too? You know what I mean? So they just
The key here is the fire.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of fire hypo,
Fire hypo.
and fire DG stuff.
and we've already done some videos with Fire DG stuff, and literally, God Almighty, it just makes Desert Ghost like pop.
Yep. I have a fire DG clutch in the incubator. I'm super excited about. So.
That's what I'm
And
talking
they'll
about.
all be DGs. The only, I think that's the only. That might be the only DG pairing that's DG to DG that I do all year. But anyway, we'll see. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you're interested in any of this stuff that I've showed, please reach out to me. If Banks don't take all of it home,
You'll take it all home with
I
you,
have a
Banks.
habit of doing that.
Yep. Y'all go check Banks out on his stuff. What's your stuff called?
Oh, I'm Savage Morphs. Known as Savage Morphs.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Savage Morphs.
That's
I
right.
love it.
he just got that up and going. So.
Yeah.
Just got it started.
So check him out. Go give him a like. He's got a good TikTok too.
TikTok
so,
thing.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
check him out on TikTok.
Instagram's hurting.
Yeah. Go help him on Instagram too.
Everybody on Instagram.
All right,
See
guys.
y'all.
See y'all.
Be out! Thanks for watching Hard Ride Exotics and make sure you subscribe. Bye!